All right, so here's the setup. Kind of Funny Games did a PS I Love You podcast. This is episode 154. Came out 2 weeks ago. They did a segment here. I guess this is like part 2. They did another one where they were trying to come up with a list of trophy commandments, and this was kind of like the finalization. And I wanted to do a reacts video based on what the crew over at Kind of Funny Games has to say about the 10 trophy commandments. And I would love to hear you guys chat. Let me know what you guys think. So let's go ahead and watch this, and I'll pause it throughout probably and comment on this.
Where you want it and how you want to be. So what we have so far are these 7. Then I will read you guys the ones we got in, of course, at kindoffunny.com/PSILY, where you can write in for free. And we will decide what will go on these 10 commandments. All right, Mike, you understand the rules?
Yep, got it.
There's rules. You guys got that? You got the rules?
Number 1, every game on the PSN has a platinum trophy.
Every game on the PSN has a platinum trophy. Doesn't every game already currently have a platinum? No, I guess that's not true. I don't think there's an issue with games now. You got Stroke the Cat as a platinum trophy. The Jumping Burger. Journey doesn't, no. But I do agree that every game should have a platinum trophy. It's just not every game should exist, I think is what I'm trying to say.
No more this little game doesn't deserve it. This little indie doesn't deserve it. No, we don't need that. Number 2.
I do. Overall, I definitely agree.
Multiplayer taste test trophies. So not if you got a multiplayer mode in your game, it's not get to level 1000. No. It's, hey, like play one match of this one. Like Naughty Dog did it. Hey, play one of these. All right,
play a deathmatch.
Exactly.
Play team deathmatch.
Exactly.
Play capture the flag.
Then you put in the add-on DLCs, right? Because
what? Taste test multiplayer trophies. I get what they're saying. I know a lot of trophy hunters aren't multiplayer gamers, right? But there are multiplayer trophy hunters out there.
That's what we say. Number 3, of course, multiplayer is big time in the DLC trophies. That's what you do. And they can just be add-ons. They can be there at launch. They don't have to be a literal DLC, but just that they have a little separate list if you really want to go above and beyond.
So this would be like Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. If you guys remember, they added a new difficulty mode called Brutal Difficulty. And what they did is for each of the games, they had just the standard trophy list, and then they had a separate, underneath it, DLC type trophy list for just the Brutal Difficulty mode. And it shipped that way. It wasn't added on as DLC in the standard way. I don't agree with that, though. I think if you have multiplayer trophies, it's in the list. It's in the list. Multiplayer is part of the game. There are devs who spend their whole time working on the game, only working on that part. And again, not all of us hate multiplayer trophies, just me and most of you guys.
Number 4 was one from the one, the only Blessing Adeoye Jr., who said, have fun with trophies. What did that mean to you, Bless?
It just means that like trophies can be a way in which you can add in a little bit of life and humor into the world, right? Like if you're playing to the world, right?
Remember the circus trophies or carnival trophies I mentioned a little bit ago in the Harry Potter or the Hogwarts Legacy list that we reviewed? Yeah, I agree. More fun trophies, but that's a terrible way to put it. Miscellaneous trophies is a good name for it. I call them carnival trophies, but more fun though. I mean, yeah, trophies should be fun. Trophies should also educate. Trophies should lead you to various parts of the game that you might not have been led to otherwise. Certain parts of a map or certain encounter or certain optional conversation you would not have seen otherwise. Anything that you wouldn't have expected to see naturally is a fun trophy for me. Like Stray had a lot of these fun trophies, carnival trophies, like the basketball into the trash can, for example, is I think what Blessing is trying to say.
The example I gave that ended up being a false example, but I'll use it anyways. In Assassin's Creed, there was one where you can like climb on a statue, and if you like hang from like the statue's dick, you get like a fun little piece of dialogue. Yeah, that could be a fun trophy as well.
Trophy.
Yeah, exactly. Like trophies don't have to be
hanging brain. That would have been it right there. It's done. Bronze.
Exactly. That would have been it. I think stuff like that is way more fun than, hey, get to level 5. get to level 10, get to level 15.
Sure.
I think adding
those are I was telling you guys that earlier. I don't like those kind of trophies, especially redundant ones, where it's like 10 collectibles, 20 collectibles, 30. You would have gotten all of those on the way to 100 collectibles. But you know what? My favorite fun trophy, I guess, would be the Uncharted 4, the E3 demo fail. I forget what it was called. That's my favorite carnival trophy of all time.
In more creativity and fun is a really good thing for your trophy list.
We put it here number 5. Speak to a variety of play styles. You don't have to play one way. You have to do this, but go ahead and get in there. Try it. What about this? What about that? Try some parrying. Don't do the parry. Don't make it all parrying. Don't make me parry 1,000 times, Mike. I don't want that.
Don't want that.
What? Wait, what did he just say? It's what I was talking about before in like Hogwarts, where they use trophies to teach you things, and you had to do the 50 stealth kills or whatever. It's kind of like that. Certain levels they ask you to go through and stealth. Some are don't use a bullet. They kind of teach you to do different things in different ways that you wouldn't maybe immediately have thought through. So I think is what he's trying to say.
Number 6, no difficulty trophies.
No difficulty trophies? All right.
None of this play it on easy, hard, medium. No. Play the game how you want to get it. Get your little fake trophy and have fun.
I give him respect for saying that, but no.
And then number 7, accessibility options don't affect it. This is one we've talked about before with our friend Steve Saylor, of course, the blind gamer. He wants to play a game, but if you go in there and turn some of the stuff on, in the past, lots of games have been, this will deactivate your ability to get any trophies. Lame, we don't want that.
Cheat codes typically will almost always negate trophies. Not always. And if a game has cheat codes and you use them and it doesn't negate the trophies, you're not technically cheating. Just for the record, not in trophy land at least. I don't know of many accessibility. You guys familiar with any games that have trophies that are negated when you use an accessibility option? I know there had to have been at a point. I just think more recently, and I know like the first party stuff it's fine. You're able to use that. I used the high contrast mode in The Last of Us Part 2 to find collectibles. True. Axiom Verge 2 sort of does. Yeah, Uncharted 4, you can turn on the tweaks for crushing. So yeah, I mean, and like Resident Evil, you can use the infinite ammo or a rocket launcher. I don't know if there's that many games where an accessibility option disables a trophy, but still a valid point.
So that then leaves 8, 9, and 10 open. Janet, you weren't here, and it was a heartbreaker that day. That was the day I needed you. You weren't available or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
You could have called me.
We didn't book you. I forget why. But you're a trophy person. What did you think of the list?
I thought it was pretty good. I think everything can kind of encompass my biggest pet peeve with trophies, which if you follow me on Twitter and see me screaming at anyone reading the Cult of the Lamb hashtags, for me, variety of playstyles kind of covers that, but I hate the tryhard trophies. For some reason, the most casual roguelike, roguelite, whatever game ever, Cult of the Lamb, is like, oh, take no damage
I hate it.
in these bosses.
I hate it.
Why did you do that? And sure, you can cheese it a little bit here and there, but now I'm out here in an RNG hell. And
So what is she saying? No tryhard trophies? I mean, I would like that for my own personal trophy gains.
it's a hell of my own making, admittedly. I could walk away, but why should I? Why should I have to walk away?
Are you still committed? Because it was breaking my heart. I saw that trophy a month ago, and I was like, you know what? I'm never going to platinum Cult of the Lamb, and that's a heartbreaker because I love.
All right, what in the gods? Hang on, let me pull this up. Drag this over. Cult of the Lamb trophy guide. Here it is. 33%. I wouldn't call this a tryhard game. Which trophy sacrifice? No. I'm trying to figure out which trophy. I feel like this is a case where you just need to use PSN profiles. Here we go. Beat these people without taking damage. Yeah, those no damage trophies suck, but they're good trophies. They're good trophy types. They just typically suck. they're hard for me. I get it. I get what she's saying. I wouldn't put that as a commandment, though. No tryhard
the game, and
trophies.
I know you love the game just as much, if not more than me, and I saw you out there putting in the work.
I have yet to delete the game, so I would still like to try to get it. I have done 3 of the 4 bosses, but the one that I have left is really hard because it's the one with like all the knives coming out of it.
I don't know this game.
It shoots projectiles, and sure, if you are good at eyeing patterns, you could probably do it. But there's also like little enemies everywhere in these boss battles, so really the only way to do it would be to cheese it, where you put on the gold cloak.
Okay. If there's a cheese method, she needs to be using the cheese method, because it's an unfortunate name, but cheesing a trophy, 100% legit strat.
And then I get a weapon that has so much damage that I can just knock you out in 2-3 hits. It's like how I did all the other bosses. I already have it on easy. I'm doing everything I can, but at this point, I'm kind of hoping they'll add in more accessibility options that will just make it so I can get it.
All right. It wasn't necessarily an accessibility option, but I waited on my Callisto Protocol Platinum to when they added New Game Plus, right? So, it's not much different than what she's hoping for.
And literally, I am the only thing that I can think of, because I'm not going to get good enough, because you have to also then not take damage on the way there, because to beef up the weapon to do more damage, it's every enemy you kill, 5% extra damage buff. But if you get hit, it goes back to 0. So I have to run through these rooms untouched to hit this boss. It's too much. And I don't want to let it go, because I felt I think I can manage doing some of these. And after I did 1, 2, 3 of them, I'm I got it. I didn't realize the one I had left is
Is there some kind of gold cloak she should be putting on? Do you guys know this game? I feel like I want to reach out and offer help, but I just don't know this game well enough. I'm sure by now, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, she's probably got it.
The hardest one, and now I'm just frankly, I'm going to just restart the game and on a new save and try to do it that way, because the enemies, the first time you beat the boss, when you come back, the rooms are a little.
You guys see that astrobot behind her? How does one get that astrobot? I want that. And she also has a trophy up there. It's not a trophy. Maybe I can send her one.
A little bit harder. So I'm hoping the rooms the first time are on easy will be easy enough for me to beef up whatever weapon to get whatever damage. But now it's what am I really doing here? This isn't fun anymore. So I'm just kind of
But it's to that point where it's just annoying now.
She makes a good point. You never want the trophies to get to the point where it's not fun anymore. And I feel like that happens all the time. That's something the game, when Blessing said, make the trophies fun. What she's describing doesn't sound fun. And I get it. We've all been there.
Whereas not only is the gameplay annoying, the fact that you have this one trophy that's going to nag at you forever is annoying. I know it well.
What's your nagging trophy, guys?
That was my mistake.
Why did I ever try? The amount of times
I was when you told me about the trophies, I was okay, I'm not going to get this platinum. But then what irked me is I have 100%ed so many of the other things naturally in the game.
Yeah.
I got all the little achievements. I did a lot of the side stuff. Sure, I don't want to play Knucklebones, but who does, right? Everyone wants to be Gwent. No one's Gwent. Anyway, I'm stuck here. And if these commandments were abode, I don't know the past tense of abide, I wouldn't have this problem.
Which one of these commandments does she think wasn't gonna make this easier for her? I get it though. When a trophy starts, if you're not a hardcore trophy hunter, it's really frustrating when you're just beating your head up against a wall for one of these things. I don't know if she's a hardcore trophy hunter.
So as I said here, 3 spots are open. We have 5 submissions from the audience that I narrowed down. Oh, so many of you wrote in, of course. Kind of
5 submissions.
Thank you so much. 5 submissions, and then though, maybe an addendum to one of the ones we've already read, Mike. We'll start there, all right? Maverick with a Y writes in and says, trophy rule from last week's show. No multiplayer trophies. I know Greg wanted it as a multiplayer taste test. However, as someone who rarely subscribes to PS Plus, it's irritating just to have to subscribe to get a platinum.
I get it. I get it. The PlayStation Plus is kind of the PlayStation tax, right? I mean, you kind of have to pay it. You had to pay the tax man. Sucks, of course. I think there's great value in it. It does suck when a multiplayer component, a live part of a game, is blocked off, but I don't think you can change the entire trophy system to accommodate those people, unfortunately.
Wow, I never thought about that.
I never thought about that either. I never thought about that. You're kind of gating it behind there, right?
Taste test trophy is a better solution or better commandment than no multiplayer trophies. I know so many of you guys out there are going to be like, yeah, we don't want multiplayer trophies, Brian. Neither do I, to be honest with you. I mean, unless the game, of course, is like Knockout City or Call of Duty. But
yeah, I think I agree with that.
By the way, why doesn't Warzone have trophies? I think we're going to add one. It's not just all games, but all PSN games, but like whatever, free-to-play games, all of them, everything. I guess that would fall into the all games have trophies.
I think I agree with that, especially for games that are single-player focused. And it's weird because I think we get less and less games that have a single-player mode and a multiplayer mode. Like, they're out there, but it's hard for me to name ones off the top of my head where we've gotten recently that have both.
Yeah, it's a callback, right?
Red Dead Redemption 2 is the current one I'm working on.
Right, I am thinking of an Uncharted 3 or something.
Yeah, and I think if that's the case, as a developer with your trophies, you got to choose which one is the priority. If single-player gaming is the priority here, then don't do multiplayer trophies. If multiplayer is the way this game is supposed to be played, then throw them in there, right?
He's not wrong, but I think even if it has both and it's a single-player focus, you should still have the test the waters type trophies.
So then what about then where we amend number two to be multiplayer taste test trophies if MP?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's meant to be a multiplayer experience.
Yeah.
As the multiplayer guy here, kind of funny. And of course, when we look at the other side with Xbox, we talk about Sony really being those narrative single-player driven games.
Is he an Xbox player? I don't know his history, but it's still the same system. So,
right. I actually like the idea of multiplayer trophies, right? I'm encouraged by that because if I'm playing a multiplayer game, I would like to work towards some sort of achievement. And so it is tough to be like, oh, let's just turn them off completely. I think the taste test was a nice touch there. I think the taste test is fun, and maybe you elevate that if it's more multi.
There have been games that had a tacked on multiplayer component to it. Granted, most of the time I'm not interested, but there have been times where I've jumped in and be like, this multiplayer is kind of fun, and I'm glad the trophies led me there. Not everyone's going to feel that way, but you know what? It's introducing every player. I think it's a really nice touch to have multiplayer trophies. Now, do you have to reach the max rank or get 10,000 kills like in the old school Resistance game? I don't know if you guys recall that. 10,000 online kills. Yeah, no. No.
Multiplayer focus, but doing away with them completely does kind of turn me off just a little bit because I do want to chase something on the other
keep
side.
them there. We put the if. That'll get it done.
I like
you know
that.
what I mean? If it's
I like
a single
that.
player, then don't worry about it.
In the end, I think it's fine if they have even more extensive multiplayer trophies in a game. I don't like any of them that are 100-hour grinds. Don't get me wrong. I say if you're a single player focused game, okay, you could take half of the playtime of that, and that should be as long as it takes to get the online trophies of that game. I feel like that would be a good formula. So, for example, let's just say a Star Wars game has a 12-hour campaign, and then it has an online component as well. Half the 12 hours, 6. So you make 6 hours worth of multiplayer trophies. My opinion, that's the ratio.
But here are your 5 submissions to fill this third spot. I will read them all. We will decide which ones we are picking. Sean Russell writes in and says, for the Platinum Commandments, how about if your game has collectibles, either have them on an in-game map, or don't require me to get every single one. So he just wants a percentage of them, or
That's Days Gone, right? Days Gone had a trophy. I think it was 70 or 75% of the collectibles. I like that. In a game that has hundreds of collectibles, I think that's awesome. I think that's really, if a game has 500 collectibles, and I know I'm throwing out a number, and I know it sounds like a very big number, but believe me, it's not. There's so many games that have far more than that. Hogwarts Legacy, which we just talked about a little bit ago, has 600 and something plus a whole bunch of collectible things that you need to get. So I feel like in instances where a game has over 500 or 300 maybe, depending on the size of the game, I think in that case, yeah, it makes sense to cap it at 70% because I'm not going to go and make a collectible guide for 1,000 collectibles. It would take me 2 weeks, weeks and weeks, and that'd be all I can do. Or, and I know Far Cry does this and some other Ubisoft games, or you have thousands of collectibles, but you give us maps that we can buy. Give us a way to find them. You go out of your way to place them. You can't feasibly expect someone to go and find 1,000 of these stupid little things. You got to help the player out a bit. Everyone who gets all the collectibles in a game, 90-something% of the time, maybe 99% of the time, are going to YouTube or going to a website to get a guide. So just put it in the game. Cut out the middleman. And I know that's, don't cut out the middleman. He's a nice guy, I've heard.
Or an easy way to find them all, which I respect. Could be after the fact. I always like a game that has an item that'll show stuff or vibrate at the end, kind of like Uncharted, Nadine and Chloe.
And also, Metro Exodus has the worst open world collectibles because you can't see them. You have to be standing right up to it and look directly at it. Collectibles should glow. There should be a little thing. There's, if you pulse or scan it, it should kind of present itself. It should be like, hey, pick me up. Here's some lore. Especially if there's lore, behind the collectible. It's like you want people to find these things.
Story, which I always forget.
Lost Legacy.
Remember, you get that bracelet and it would shake when you were close to stuff.
And also, you also liked retrying just the level, not replaying the whole entire game.
Of course.
By the way, 100% of the collectibles, if it's 30 collectibles or whatever, or something like Dead Space or whatever, 100% of the collectibles, no way should only get part of them or some of them.
Certain ones,
chapter
if we're going to have that, let's add chapter selectors, right, Greg?
That should be a commandment right there.
Jack Martin wrote in and said, thanks for reading my question last week that started all of this. Here's my one remaining suggestion. No missable trophies.
Yeah, that should probably be top 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
That should be number 1, right? Missable trophies. There's nothing more heartbreaking than that moment when you get up to the end of the game and you've completed it, the credits are about to roll, you put your controller down, you sit back, you're getting ready to pop beer because you're about to celebrate, and then nothing happens. And then you realize that you missed a step of a 15-step quest. There's nothing more frustrating about that. I agree. No missable trophies ever.
Yeah, okay. I think that's a very important one.
Well, save it. You got 3 more to hear. All right, don't cast all your votes just yet. Steven writes in and says, my number 1 rule after recently getting the platinum in Returnal is no trophies tied to RNG. That isn't fun. It must be the easiest type of trophy to get bugged/glitched.
He said it's not fun. I'm going to tell you how not fun it was. Some of you guys remember when Returnal came out and may have remembered me streaming it and whatnot. I had found all the collectibles in the game except for, I think, 2, but it came down to ultimately 1. And it took me 40 hours to finally get the one collectible.
The platinum
and Monster Hunter World is a game I have not played, but I've heard from many of you guys over the years, which is notoriously terrible RNG. So
Returnal was fun overall, but the last few were annoying, all because of the random nature of the game. That makes sense.
That's solid.
I don't like it when I have to wait for something to appear. I would have loved to have Platinum Freedom Wars back in the day, but you had to get all my guys buffed up to whatever, and so I had to fight this one monster and chop off the very specific.
Did he just say he had to buff up guys? wasn't paying attention.
Arm, and the thing I needed was only going to drop 1 in 16 times. I'm like, nah, I'm not about that.
The Returnal example is the exact reason why I never even thought about getting the platinum in Returnal.
Yeah.
If it didn't have any element of RNG tied to trophies, I would have actually at least tried because I love that game so much. But yeah, seeing that, I was like, no, I'm good.
Do it.
JB Money writes in to kindafunny.com/PSILY. It says, one rule for a great trophy list is if an online server closes down, all online trophies should auto pop.
I love that.
Oh my gosh.
Love that.
There should be no unearnable trophy /platinum. It's my biggest pet peeve. Janet, that got a laugh out of you. Have you been burned by this?
I get it. I get it. But no. Because then all I'm going to do is go out and buy all multiplayer-only games, and I'm just going to put it in my backlog and wait until the servers close, and then I'm going to pop that disc in and reap my rewards. No, I'm not going to do that, but you know people who would do that. Excuse me. I'd be willing to concede that if a game's servers shut down within the first 12 months, then absolutely. But, no. Otherwise, no.
Before?
No, I just think logistically, I guess you can do whatever, right? Like you can code in whatever to happen, but I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit
There's precedent.
Weird.
That's so into the weeds of trophiness. You know what I mean? We can't even get our developers to realize they can have a platinum to be that we're shutting our game down and our servers down. And so you need to add a line of code that if you get to the main menu and hit start, it's like the servers are shut down. Also,
I think you're asking for a little too much, even in this hypothetical scenario that we are creating.
And then Drew Sun writes in for the final submission that could possibly be on our trophy commandments. All trophies should be possible to achieve in one playthrough. They can be super difficult. It can be locked off till post-game, but it's got to be possible. Don't force me to play your game multiple times to get the platinum.
Yes and no. Not just across the board, single playthrough. But I don't want to play through a game on normal to unlock hard, or play hard to unlock impossible, or whatever. Whatever the hardest difficulty is should be, I mean, this isn't necessarily a trophy thing, but it's just a game thing, but it should be available. That way you don't have to do 2 playthroughs. It's your choice. I usually always opt for the 2 playthrough method anyway, so see what else.
It's a surefire way to make me not even try for the plat. It's not fun and it's not creative.
I will say yes and no. Like Dead Space, we just talked about a little bit ago, had a New Game Plus playthrough where it had an entire collectible set that led to an alternate ending that you can't get the first time through. So, I mean, in that case, playing it through multiple times is actually pretty good. A lot of people like playing the different Resident Evil playthroughs, the rocket launchers or whatever, or knife only, because there's trophies for that. So I think there's a lot of case for if a developer does it right for the right game, I think it's a great thing. But again, I think the highest difficulty should always be available from the beginning.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I think the chapter select is what I like
playthrough.
for that idea.
Yeah.
Because that gets me around it. I can go get the collectibles I missed. You know what I mean? How we did in Last of Us Part 2, right? Like when I was like, oh, okay, that'll be easier way. A good example the opposite way is like Dead Space, where I did my fun playthrough. And I was like, do I want to platinum this? I was like, oh, impossible mode. Oh, I still got to beat it again. And then again, I'm not playing Dead Space twice more.
Yeah. I mean, Miles Morales, I think, did the same thing, right? Where you have to beat the game on New Game Plus.
That's terrible.
It did.
Miles Morales
It did. However, you skip the cutscenes and Miles Morales is like a 3.5 hour game. Not that
cutscenes, there it is again. Skippable cutscenes, all of them should always be skippable. And if you're going to lock a player and force them to watch it, rather, second playthrough, New Game Plus, or any other subsequent playthrough should have skippable options if you've already played through it once.
you know what I mean? It's just
that's
longer.
a lot of time.
Yeah.
That's
it is.
time I could be using to get the other trophies. Like, I hated that aspect of, and Spider-Man did the same thing too, right? Like,
not the first Spider-Man, no.
They added New Game Plus as a DLC, so it was an add-on, so it was an add-on trophy.
All right, that's fair and fine. But yeah, New Game Plus, like, no, I don't know anyone who was excited to run that trophy. The only thing you hear when it gets brought up is that, oh, it doesn't have to take that long though, and even that's like multiple hours.
Sure,
like, it's not enjoyable to do, and I don't think I think part of the ethos of trophies.
I didn't enjoy it, but I actually know a lot of you guys did. And you guys have not only done that, you've platinumed the game twice. So PS4, PS5 version. So you're basically playing through it 4 times at that point.
Is that you kind of gain something out of doing them, whether it's
from
more of a
software.
completionist run, you see more of the game, you think of the game in a different way, you have a different interaction with the mechanics. Like, I felt like I don't get anything extra out of playing New Game Plus in Miles Morales, a game that is already not difficult. So it's like, okay, I'm souped up for something that was already pretty easy to get through. I'm getting through it again without watching anything. Like, it feels very needless. It's very chore-like.
That also, it ruined my trophy run of that game, where I still need to go back and actually platinum that game. But it was, for me, the thing of, I played through that game the first time. As I was playing through it, doing a lot of side stuff, right? Like playing the game the way I naturally would. And then I took a break, came back, and I was like, all right, let me do the New Game Plus thing. Okay, cool, I finished that. Now I got to do the same side quests and stuff to then get the completionist stuff. Like, it splintered off how I wanted.
Why was he going off and doing side quests and such and other activities? Your New Game Plus playthrough should just be New Game Plus. You don't do any side activities. That's the way you can mainline the story. You do everything in your first playthrough, okay? You get everything. You do your crimes and whatever. Take down all the gangs. Do everything you need to do. Complete the challenges. You do all that. Once you have that, then you go New Game Plus, and you just literally speed to the end as fast as you can. And literally don't do anything else, because otherwise it's unbearable.
Or doing all that stuff in a clean way, where I think having it be the way that Spider-Man 2018 was, where it is, hey, you don't have to replay the game, just go out and clean up all this stuff. Makes it a lot easier to figure it out.
I feel like I've talked about trophies for quite some time in my life. So we have 3 slots. I'm going to let each of you.
I hear you, brother.
To add to it. So, Mike, we're going to start with you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Remember, Sean wrote in saying if you have collectibles, in-game map, or don't require them all. Jack said no missable trophies. Steven said no trophies tied to RNG. JB Money said online trophy should auto-pop if the game shuts down. And then Drew said all in one playthrough. Achievable in one playthrough.
Man, these are all great recommendations and suggestions from the chat and the audience out there. For me, I'm going to lean to no RNG. I think the easy one for me is to go with the one playthrough. I am, Greg, I like to call myself a man of the people.
One playthrough.
And I think a lot of people have limited time, and they have a lot of games to play. And for me to replay Spider-Man 3 different times or even twice is too much to ask. Right?
Fair.
And so I do want to lean on that one, but I'm going to go with RNG because I can make these two make the difficult decision. I do agree with that, right? There should never be a doubt on, do I get this special drop? Do I get this special pull from some sort of boss? It should be very straightforward, cut, clean, and dry. That's how I want it. So I'm going to add that onto the list.
Janet, you weren't here when we assembled the first 7, so I'll let you go next.
Yeah, that RNG.
What would you like to see added?
All right, I'm going to go with
This not good.
no missable trophies.
Jack
Specifically because, yes, from Jack Martin. Specifically because I was looking between that and achieve in one playthrough, and I feel like missable trophies covers some of the pain of inadvertently needing multiple playthroughs. Because one thing if the game makes you do it, and even then it's like not the worst thing in the world and it's such a rarity, but missable, there's nothing worse than like
when you miss something yourself. Yeah, I hear you. Especially a collectible. Listen, I have one I don't think these guys are going to get to. I have a couple. Well, I'll circle back to it.
Like, if it doesn't have those other things built in terms of chapter select or whatever, then you have to rerun the entire game, and it's like, do I delete the save? Do I not? Do I play on a different thing? It's a mess, so I'm going to go no missable trophies.
All right. And Blessing, for our 10th slot and our 10 commandments for trophies, what do you want to put?
I'm going to go with Sean Russell's submission about collectibles, right? Having them either on an in-game map or don't require me to get every single one of them.
We're still on this. I like having them on an in-game map. But like they're usually on the in-game map once you've uncovered the fog of war or you've pulsed and you scan the environment or whatever. I'm okay with when you do that and you scan, you pulse, or you're just in the vicinity and it just pops up on the map. What I need it to do is stay on the map. I don't like when you walk away and then, 4 days later you pull up the map and you're like, well, where was that collectible? It's not here anymore. Fewer games do that. Thankfully, I think more do it right. But there's still some cases.
For me, that second part is the more important part here, right? Where I understand not every single game even has a map to make that happen. But at the very least, I love the idea of collectibles in a lot of games. I don't think every single... it's such a popular thing to make it hey, get all your collectibles in order to get this trophy. And I don't think that's needed. I think that's the easy way to go with it. I think you can find more creative ways of get a few of each collectible, right? Or find different ways to motivate the audience to want to go out and hunt things down like that.
Let me see if I can revise this a little bit. Let me see if I can revise this for a little bit. What I need, a map is nice and whatever, but all I really need is an itemized breakdown of how many collectibles are in each little area. You look at like Hogwarts Legacy, you can hover over a little town icon and it'll tell you there's 2 collection chests, there's 1 Revelio page or whatever it is. Assassin's Creed, same thing. And they'll put maybe a little check mark on the icon when you've completely looted it. And you zoom back on the map and you hover over areas and regions and there's a whole breakdown. God of War Ragnarok comes to mind. And that was a game littered with collectibles, but it was made palpable because you can look at the map and by region and areas and sections. You can dive right into where it's at. The game has to somehow provide a way for you to know where to look, whether it be an icon on the map or whatever. But just wanted to expand that. Maybe he goes there and I'll have to cut this all out.
Well, I've amended it for you then. So your final 10 commandments for trophies. What's that, Mike?
You guys have 10 great ones. Can I add just a little small one onto it?
That's bonus one.
Give them to me early. Let's have some fun. As Blessing put, let's have fun. Nothing feels better than starting a game and being rewarded early.
That first tutorial, the prologue chapter trophy. I don't like the ones where you just hit the start button and it triggers the pop. See, the problem with early trophies is once you've earned a trophy, you can't delete the 0% off. So I say give me 10 minutes before you pop a trophy, but I still want one early. And I want one every now and again. Nothing worse than getting through the end of a game and you have 3% of the trophies.
I think somewhere in there, give them to me early should be a conversation, right? It feels good to get a couple going early. Sure. I don't want to wait late games. So that's just my one, add that way down to your bottom.
I'm playing a game for a review right now. I had to check my PSN profiles. It hasn't sunk. Not that it would matter because you'd see it on PSN profiles, but that was that thing of pretty much out of the intro cutscene. Pop! Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, let's go.
I feel good.
I'm in the game. Let's have some fun. Let's see what's up. Your 10 commandments look like this for trophies, not for life. Number 1, every game on the PSN has a platinum trophy. Number 2, multiplayer taste test trophies if it's a multiplayer game. Number 3, multiplayer is big time in the DLC. That's where you're putting it, your add-on trophy list. It doesn't have to be tied to your real platinum run-through. Number 4, have fun with trophies. Number 5, speak to a variety of playstyles. Number 6, no difficulty trophies. Number 7, accessibility options don't affect your platinum. Number 8, no trophies are tied to RNG. Thank you, Steven. Number 9, no missable trophies. Thank you, Jack. And number 10, thank you, Sean, and the editor, Blessing Adeoye Jr. If your game has collectibles, don't require me to get every single one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the 10 commandments of trophies as read by PS I Love You X.
You guys have any thoughts on this? Might I make an amendment to this? And I would love to hear from you in chat. What about we just eliminate permadeath? Right? We don't need no permadeath trophies. We don't need a Mein Leben, the Outlast. But here's the one that I do. Here's the one that I think would be, where's my trophy? Progress is always is a redundant word, not necessary. Automatically saved. Any progress is automatically saved. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that, okay? You pick up, you're walking, you're following one of my trophy guides here on the YouTube, right? You're following my guide and I'm picking up a collectible. I tell you, go down this hall, you go pick up this collectible. Then you go into the next room and you fall because there was a hole in the floor and you weren't looking down or whatever the case is. You died and you had to respawn at the checkpoint that was prior to the previous collectible. that I showed you how to get, your first thought is to just go. Your first thought is never to go check to make sure that collectible is still there. Yeah. Games, when you pick up a collectible, you'll see an autosave in the corner. Games all should do that. For anything that's tracked, headshots, kills, or whatever it is, all of that stuff should be automatically saved. Speedrun trophies, do you mean? Because that's fair. I'm not against speedrun trophies.